If you knew that the fool who shouts turn into a dragon at a pile of mud all day long is actually Lin Tian, the demon sovereign reborn from a previous life, would you still be laughing? He abandoned his cultivation and returned to his homeland, only to search for his missing disciple. But he never expected that the once great first sect had fallen so low, even his disciples lived worse than dogs. Since humility earns no respect, don't blame me for reincarnating and slaying the heavens, leaving rivers of blood in my wake. My name is Lin Tian, or rather, 10,000 years ago, the world was more accustomed to calling me the havoc-bringing Demon King. Back then, with my sword in hand, I forced the entire cultivation world to bow their heads. The sect I founded was the #1 sacred land in the world. Every disciple I took and became a mighty figure who dominated their region. However, to cultivate the forbidden technique, reincarnation slaying heaven art, I had to dissolve my physical body and scatter all my cultivation. I cast my soul into this mortal world to cultivate anew for a lifetime. This sleep lasted 10,000 years. When I opened my eyes again, there was no grand worship from the masses, nor celestial music resounding. What met my eyes was the gray sky and the wet, stinking clump of mud in my hand. Come on, turn into a dragon. I grinned foolishly, squeezing the mud hard with my fingers, trying to shape it into the black dragon I remembered. Come on, turn into a giant tree. Come on, wipe out these gods and demons. Around me came jeers, buzzing like flies into my ears, driving me mad. Look, that idiot from the Lin family is going crazy again. What a disgrace. How did the family head adopt such a waste? I heard he was picked up from the forbidden zone of Cloud Demon Mountain over a decade ago. His mind was already fried. I lifted my head, my eyes hollow as I gazed at the young faces around me, all dressed in Lin family attire, their sneers and contempt barely concealed. On the high platform sat several richly dressed figures. In the middle was a middle-aged man in blue robes with a worried face, my adoptive father, Lin Yao. Seeing the extra white hair at his temples, my heart ached slightly. Although this body was only 15 or 16 years old, and its intelligence disguised as that of a 3 or 4-year-old child, deep in my soul, the memories and emotions of 10,000 years remained. I knew that over these past dozen years, Lin Yao had been trying to cure my madness. 78. He had searched for renowned doctors far and wide, even sparing no expense to use the family's treasured spiritual medicines. Yet what he got in return was betrayal from his clansmen and mockery from the outside world. Head of the Lin family, your son has come of age, hasn't he? The speaker was a middle-aged man in white-scale armor, Tian Wu, the city lord of Tianyang City. His brows were tightly furrowed, and when his gaze swept over me, his eyes were full of disdain and helplessness. You know as well, my daughter Tian Luo is a once-in-a-millennium genius and the most beautiful woman in Tianyang City. If she were to marry such a child, I'm afraid it would be somewhat inappropriate. Lin Yao's body stiffened, his lips moved, but no sound came out. What could he say? The facts were right before him, this son of mine. 104, Lord Tian is right. Beside him, an elder with a long white beard stroked his beard and sneered coldly. He was the grand elder of the Lin family, Lin Wang. The engagement made over a decade ago was merely a casual remark. As it stands now, my Yinner is more worthy of Miss Tian Luo. Yinner has already reached the 9th level of qi refining, just one step away from foundation establishment. He is a genius unseen in Tianyang City for 100 years. Upon hearing the name Lin Yan, a cheer erupted from the crowd. A golden-haired youth strode out arrogantly, his spiritual energy surging around him. Indeed, he had some skill. He cast a contemptuous glance at me, his gaze as if looking at an ant. I lowered my head and continued fiddling with the mud in my hands, but a faint, barely perceptible smile curled at the corners of my mouth. The 9th level of qi refining, in my eyes, is nothing more than a baby just learning to crawl. Just then, a waft of fragrant breeze swept over. A woman in a veil crouched before me, her clear, beautiful eyes filled with curiosity and scrutiny. You are Lin Tian? Her voice was pleasant to the ear, like a clear spring striking stones. She is Tian Luo, the daughter of Tianwu, and also my nominal fiancé. I didn't answer, just smiled foolishly, pointing at the sky and shouting. If I want the sky to turn dark, it wouldn't dare to be bright. If I want the sky to crack open, it wouldn't dare to close. Tian Luo was stunned for a moment. Then a complex expression flickered in her eyes. She didn't mock me like others, nor did she leave in disgust. She just crouched there quietly, watching me. Enough, Lin Wang interrupted impatiently. The coming-of-age ceremony begins. Don't let outsiders see a joke. Lin Yao took a deep breath, suppressing the humiliation in his heart, stood up, and announced the official start of the coming-of-age ceremony. A huge black testing stone stood in the center of the square. The Lin family disciples stepped forward one by one to test, and the reported cultivation levels were mostly around the third or fourth layer of qi refining, until Lin Shan stepped onto the stage. When she infused her spiritual energy, the stone shone brightly. Lin Shan, eighth layer of qi refining. The whole hall erupted in astonishment. For a young girl who had just come of age, this was already an extremely astonishing talent. Then, Lin Yin stepped on its stage. Pressing one hand on the stone, his vast spiritual energy erupted instantly, the stone almost unable to withstand the force. Lin Yin, qi refining layer 9, thunderous applause. Lin Wang looked smug. Lin Xiong, my third uncle, also Lin Yao's own younger brother, now wore a sinister grin. Big brother, Lin Xiong sneered coldly at Lin Yao. You wasted resources on an idiot. Look at the result. If you gave those resources to Yenner and Shanner, they would have reached foundation establishment long ago. As the clan leader, you've been negligent. Third brother, I gave the same cultivation materials to everyone. Lin Yao said hoarsely, deep exhaustion in his voice. Same? Is he worthy? Lin Xiong pointed at me, eyes blazing with anger. He's a fool. Feeding him divine pills and elixirs is worse than feeding a dog. At that moment, Lin Yin stepped down from the stage, walked straight up to me, and looked down at me. Clan leader, you have no son, and your cultivation has regressed due to this idiot. It's time to step down. Let my grandfather or my father take this position, and only then can the Lin family be revived. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire hall fell into dead silence. This was a blatant ultimatum. Lin Yao's face turned pale, and his body trembled slightly. He knew that once he abdicated, it would not only mean the loss of power, but also that I would completely lose protection and become a lamb to be slaughtered. Insolent, Lin Yao roared, but his voice sounded so powerless. Lin Wang hypocritically advised, Yenner, do not be rude. However, the position of family head should indeed be held by the capable. Since Yenner is so outstanding, why not let him demonstrate his privilege? Privilege? Someone was puzzled, and Lin Shan sneered from the side. Family rules. At the coming-of-age ceremony, the one with the highest cultivation has the right to challenge anyone, no matter who it is, and no refusal is allowed. Lin Yin laughed, a vicious and arrogant laugh. He extended his finger, pointing straight at my nose. I challenge him, Lin Tian. The crowd erupted again. Everyone knew that Lin Yin had always regarded me as a thorn in his side. On this arena, life and death are not a concern. He wants to kill me, and it is perfectly justified. Lin Yao suddenly stood up, his eyes red. Lin Yin, how dare you? This is the rule. Lin Yin pressed forward step by step. If the clan leader doesn't agree, it's breaking the ancestral teachings. How could he have the face to lead the Lin family? This is a dead end. If I agree, I die. If I don't, Lin Yao loses his position as clan leader, and I still die. Lin Wang and Lin Xiong exchange a glance, their eyes full of triumphant glee. They had been waiting for this day for too long. Just as Lin Yao was in despair, I suddenly hurled the mud in my hand fiercely into the air. 277's eyes instantly turned bloodshot, as if blood was flowing out, and his whole body convulsed violently. Foaming at the mouth, looking like a demon gone mad. Watch out! Tian Wu was greatly alarmed and pulled Tian Luo close beside him. Lin Yao panicked, rushed over to hold me, and with trembling hands took a pill from his bosom and shoved it into my mouth. Quick, the Qingling pill. Swallow it. The Qingling pill, refined by the miracle doctor Nie Qingling, each one worth a fortune. To suppress the madness inside me. 298, it's this damn pill again. Lin Wang sneered. Over a decade, just buying these pills has drained the Lin family's income for years. If it were for Yenner, he would have long been invincible in Tianyang City. Lin Yao ignored them, picked up my unconscious body, and hurried away. Watching Lin Yao's retreating figure, I closed my eyes but sneered in my heart. Playing dumb is to hide my aura and also to observe people's hearts. And this Qingling pill, to me, is nothing more than a tonic. Half an hour later, in the Lin family's secret chamber, Lin Yao channeled his energy to heal me until he confirmed my breathing had stabilized, then sighed wearily. Xiao Tian, rest well. No matter what happens, your foster father will protect you. With that, he turned and left to face the aftermath of that malicious coming-of-age ceremony. After confirming no one was around, I slowly opened my eyes. My previously dull and vacant gaze instantly became clear and profound, like two sharp swords piercing through the darkness. Huff! I sat up, stretching my stiff limbs. This body is far too weak. I recalled the black dragon tasked with guarding the Grand Formation back when I dissolved my cultivation to rebuild, leaving it to protect my physical body and soul imprint. Who would have thought that beast would slack off and run away, causing Lin Yao to stumble upon me and drag me out, forcing me to play the fool for over a decade. Damn dragon. Just wait until I find you. I'll pull out your dragon sinew to make fiddle strings. I cursed through gritted teeth. Though my body was frail, I wasn't completely unprepared. I pulled a black jade pendant from my bosom. The pendant bore a lifelike carving of a black dragon, and on its back was my name, Lin Tian. This was one of my life-bound treasures from 10,000 years ago. Although its spirit had greatly diminished due to my physical reconstruction, it still held a powerful, devouring force. Now, with my cultivation level too low, I couldn't execute this soul-devouring art. But this pendant could help me. I gripped the pendant, channeling a wisp of faint spiritual energy through my fingertip. In an instant, the pendant blazed with black light. A terrifying suction force emanated from the jade pendant, enveloping the entire Lin family. In the distance, the Lin family disciples who were in seclusion training suddenly discovered in horror that the concentration of spiritual energy around them had plummeted, as if being devoured by an invisible black hole. Fortunate one, welcome to the Hongmeng Golden Tower. A voice exuding infinite solemnity trembled Xiao Nua's soul. That colossal tower was astonishing, unlike anything seen before. Before Xiao Nua could react, the Hongmeng Golden Tower burst forth with dazzling divine light. Whoosh! Xiao Nua vanished again, and in the next second, he appeared in an ancient temple. The temple structure resembled a magnificent stellar wheel, layers encircling one another, with most buildings arranged in rings. Xiao Nua's gaze fixed on the highest level of the temple. There, a special gate hovered in the air. The gate was shaped like a round wheel, like a dimensional gate that traverses other worlds. Xiao Nua stood on desolate steps, the distant background behind him resembling boundless yellow sands under twilight. Where is this? This is the first level of the Hongmeng Golden Tower. The solemn and sacred voice spoke again. Xiao Nua's heart tightened. Who are you? Who is speaking? I am the tower spirit of the Hongmeng Golden Tower. I have been here for 100,000 years. Tower spirit? 100,000 years. Xiao Nua grew increasingly tense. The other continued, do not be nervous. Just now, your blood spilled on the altar and triggered the restriction. By a twist of fate, you have also become the first person to enter here in 100,000 years. Xiao Nua was puzzled. The tower spirit continued. The creator of this tower, the Hongmeng ancestor, once entrusted me. The first person to step into the Hongmeng Golden Tower is fated with it. You will open the Golden Tower and become its new master. Xiao Nua was stunned. He lowered his head and looked at his wound, still bleeding, confirming that this was not a dream. He asked, what abilities does the Hongmeng Golden Tower possess? The Hongmeng Golden Tower is the most supreme, ancient, divine object in the universe. Its mysteries are endless, and I cannot fully explain them in a short time. To control the power of the Hongmeng Golden Tower, one must first cultivate the Hongmeng Overlord body art. The tower spirit paused and continued to explain. The Hongmeng Overlord body art is the foremost of the four supreme, divine body tempering arts in the universe, created by the ancestor. With the power of the Hongmeng ancestor, one can break the sky with a single hand, fill the seas with a snap of the fingers, and in the space of a laugh, slay the sun, moon, and stars. Shock was written all over Xiao Nua's face. With such a tremendous opportunity right before him, how could he refuse? I want it, Xiao Nua said excitedly. I want this primordial golden tower. I want that primordial overlord body art. Good. As his voice fell, a splendid silver fragmented light erupted in the void. The fragmented light, like billions of star fragments, gathered toward one spot. Then, an illusory and ancient scroll appeared in the air. Whoosh! Under an invisible force, the scroll flew toward Xiao Nua's brow. Hum! Suddenly, a chaotic energy fluctuation spread, and from Xiao Nua's brow unfolded wisps of silver lightning patterns. In the beginning of primordial chaos, undivided chaos gave birth to the ancestor, the Great Way. The divine king created the epic. The primordial overlord body art is the world's strongest body refining divine art. Those who cultivate this art achieve an overlord body surpassing gods, invulnerable to all spells, overturning the cosmos, seeing through life and death, and controlling the strongest power in the world. First layer. Pieces of unfamiliar information spread through Xiao Nua's mind and quickly merged into his memory. At the same time, a surge of overbearing aura stirred within Xiao Nua. His injuries were actually healing on their own, and even the arrow stuck in his chest disintegrated and fell apart. This, Xiao Nua's eyes widened, his heart deeply stirred. The Hongming Golden Tower is improving your physique, the tower spirit said. Soon, the physique improvement was complete. Xiao Nua felt he had never been so comfortable. His spiritual energy was abundant, and his whole body seemed to have inexhaustible strength. Even the root cause of the illness left from when the heavenly phoenix blood was taken had been eradicated. Xiao Nua was extremely excited. He clenched his fists, flames burning in his eyes. Heaven does not want me dead. Heaven does not want me dead. Xiao Yong, Xiao Yi of the Xiao family of the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect, I will repay everything you have inflicted on me. Taking a deep breath, Xiao Nua suppressed his surging emotions and then asked again. You just said that this is only the first level of the Hongming Golden Tower. Yes, the Hongming Golden Tower has a total of 11 levels. Except for the first and last levels, each of the remaining 9 levels seals a woman. The tower's spirit replied. Xiao Nua was stunned. Women, indeed, but they are no ordinary women. Some are the infamous, peerless demon queens. Some are the transcendent female emperors who dominate the ages. And some are the cold-blooded female demons who can destroy the world with a flick of a finger. Without exception, they are the most terrifying beings in the world. Xiao Nua's expression changed repeatedly as he felt a chill rushing down from above. Master, don't worry. These 9 female emperors and demon queens are all restrained by seals. As long as the restrictions remain, they won't harm you. On the contrary, you can gain benefits from them. Oh, Xiao Nua's eyes lit up. What can I gain from them? There is much. For example, the second seal is the Night Demon Queen. Her true form is a dark star 6-winged demon dragon. This blade was formed from a scale that fell from her body. Also, the third seal is the War Slaughter Empress, who is quick-tempered and kills in rage. The aura released from her body coalesces into an explosive blood spirit pearl. Using this pearl can temporarily cause one's blood energy to erupt, multiplying combat power several times to dozens of times. After saying this, 2 dazzling beams of light landed in front of Xiao Nua. On one side was a black divine blade, of medium length, shaped like a sharp dragon's fang, its body flickering with black lightning like light patterns. On the other side was a blood-red pearl, roughly the size of a pellet, with magma-like blood energy flowing within it. Xiao Nua first took the black divine blade into his hand. A bone-penetrating chill was released, and Xiao Nua almost dropped it. What a ferocious blade, Xiao Nua thought in shock. The tower spirit explained. The Dark Star 6-winged demonic dragon is the totem of the demon race. Its power is terrifying. This blade, imbued with its spiritual energy, is a demonic weapon, difficult for ordinary people to wield. Xiao Nua nodded slightly, then took the bloodburst spirit pearl into his hand. The pearl was scorching hot as it entered his palm, with a violent energy surging inside. What a fine treasure, Xiao Nua said, his eyes shining as he gripped the bloodburst spirit pearl. Both of these items carry immense spiritual energy. With my current strength, I'm afraid I can only control a fraction of their power. Master, you have not yet begun to cultivate the Hongmeng Overlord Body technique. Your body is still weak. Once this divine technique is mastered and you become a divine body, no evil in the world will be able to disturb you. After explaining, the tower spirit continued. From today on, the Hongmeng Golden Tower will reside within your body. I will help you cultivate the Overlord Body Divine technique as soon as possible. Xiao Nu nodded seriously, a cold light surging in his eyes. I will work hard because I still have many things to do. At this moment, in the Black Insect Mountain Range. Strange, where has that Wei Xiao Nuo gone? And that altar has disappeared too. In the forest, Xiao, Yi, and the other two kept searching for traces of Xiao Nuo. Another person said, "Don't worry. He can't survive. He was struck by Xiao Ci's heart-piercing arrow and then by your palm strike that shatters the heart. He's dead for sure." Xiao Li nodded slightly. "That's true. Let's return to CS City." Just as the three were about to return to the Xiao family in CS City, a chilling wind howled out from the forest behind them. Startled, the three quickly turned around and saw a familiar figure suddenly appear. The person was none other than Xiao Nuo. Xiao Yi frowned. "You're still alive?" With that, Xiao Yi grinned. "Since you're not dead, you should have found a doghouse to hide in. Coming out now is just asking for death." Whoosh! Xiao Yi charged at Xiao Nuo again, throwing a fierce punch aimed at Xiao Nuo's throat. "This punch will break your neck." The punch was fierce, the evil wind rushing to his face. Xiao Nuo didn't dodge. Instead, he swung a black demon blade from behind him. Clang! The demon blade, forged from the scales of a dark star, six-winged demon dragon, met Xiao Yi's fist. In an instant, Xiao Yi's fist split apart like a fork, flesh and bone separating. Agony surged through his body. Xiao Yi's eyes flew wide open. This is followed by a blood-curdling scream. "Ah, sorry, but this time you're the one dying." Xiao Nuo sneered, twisting his wrist to reverse the demon blade and slash at his opponent's neck. SSS, a flash of the blade, and Xiao Yi's scream stopped abruptly as a red line slowly seeped from his neck. Xiao Yi. The other two were shocked and furious. The two never imagined that Xiao Nuo could actually kill Xiao Yi, who was stronger than him. One of them drew a dagger from behind and lunged at Xiao Nuo like a beast. "You bastard, I'll kill you." Xiao Nuo looked disdainful. Among the three, only Xiao Yi had reached the 5th level of body refinement. The other two were only at the 4th level. In a battle of the same level, Xiao Nuo feared no one. Clang! In the moment the black demon blade clashed with the dagger, it demonstrated what it meant to be sharp enough to cut iron like mud. The blade of the demon knife directly passed through the dagger and mercilessly slashed into the opponent's chest. The blade embedded into flesh and, without any resistance, sliced out from the back. This cut severed the opponent's upper body and pierced through his vital artery. The spurting blood was dazzlingly bright, and the successive screams terrified the archer out of his wits. He watched Xiao Nuo, who had just slain 2 men, and frantically tried to knock an arrow and shoot. But before he could release the arrow, a vicious wind rushed toward his face. The black demon blade in Xiao Nuo's hand had already arrived before his eyes. Within the Black Insect Mountains in the forest, Xiao Nuo effortlessly cut down 3 men in succession. What a fine blade. Xiao Nuo looked at the black demonic sword in his hand, a flicker of emotion crossing his face. It felt good to have power. This sword was forged from the dragon scale of the Dark Knight Empress. "I shall call you Dark Star Soul." Then Xiao Nuo put away the demonic sword and searched the bodies of Xiao Yi and his 2 accomplices, finding 6 qi-nourishing pills and a martial art called the wolf form blade technique. Qi-nourishing pills were used to enhance cultivation, a common low-grade pill. The wolf form blade technique, on the other hand, was a high-level martial art of the Xiao clan, available only to core disciples. "Xiao Yong gave you such paltry rewards just to have you 3 kill me. It seems in his eyes, I truly am worthless." Xiao Nuo let out a faint, self-deprecating laugh. Those 6 qi-nourishing pills and the wolf form blade technique were not insignificant. Compared to the benefits the Tian Gangsword sect had given the Xiao clan, they were barely a drop in the bucket. Thinking of the Xiao clan's actions and Xiao Yong's ruthlessness, Xiao Nuo's eyes grew exceptionally sharp. If not for accidentally unlocking the altar and obtaining the Hongmeng Golden Tower, I would have met my end in this wilderness today. Now that I have the Hongmeng Golden Tower and have obtained the Hongmeng Overlord Body Technique, the foremost of the four great divine body refining arts in the universe, it's like starting a new life. I will definitely ascend to the pinnacle. Xiao Yong, in 3 days, you plan to formally join the Heavenly Sword sect? I won't let you have your wish. Whoosh. Xiao Nua sheathed his sword behind him, his gaze resolute as he turned and strode away. Xia City was bustling with traffic, lively and prosperous. There were 5 major families in Xia City, and these 5 families monopolized over 90% of the city's wealth. Originally, the Xiao family was at the bottom, but after forming ties with the Heavenly Sword sect, it leaped into the top 3 within a few years, and could even become the head of the 5 families in a few more. Xiao Nuo returned to his residence, a small house in a remote area. The rise of the Xiao family was built on trampling Xiao Nuo. It was built on his corpse, but the prosperity of the Xiao family didn't share a single bit with him. Xiao Nuo lived alone. He didn't have many memories of his mother. As for his father, half a year before Xiao Nuo's heavenly phoenix blood was taken, he left the family on business and had yet to return. At night, everything was silent. Xiao Nuo sat on the training platform in the room, closing his eyes and beginning to browse through the cultivation method of the Hongmeng Overlord body in his mind. The first layer is called the Bronze Ancient Body. Once cultivated, the body's physical strength is comparable to bronze and steel, impervious to swords and knives, and resistant to water and fire. Even a light punch is enough to shatter an opponent's bones and tendons. But soon, Xiao Nuo opened his eyes. Although it is the first layer of the Hongmeng Overlord body, the cultivation conditions required are extremely harsh. To forge the Bronze Ancient Body, one needs vast resources and spiritual energy for body tempering. My current body is too weak, and I lack body training resources. It's likely very difficult to meet the requirements of the Bronze Ancient Body. Xiao Nuo murmured to himself. Currently, Xiao Nuo is only at the 4th level of body tempering, far from meeting the conditions for cultivating the Bronze Ancient Body. However, Xiao Nuo is not in a hurry. The first layer still has some basic techniques that can be used for initial body tempering. Then, Xiao Nuo circulated the spiritual energy in his body according to the basic techniques, flowing through the major meridians from his dantian, and something astonishing happened. Xiao Nuo's cultivation realm actually dropped to the 3rd layer of the body tempering realm. What was going on? Xiao Nuo was confused. The total amount of spiritual energy in his dantian had decreased. With some doubt, Xiao Nuo continued to practice the basic techniques of the Hongmeng Overlord body art. Before long, Xiao Nuo was jolted awake once again. He was now at the 2nd layer of the body tempering realm. In just this short effort, he had fallen 2 minor cultivation levels. This shouldn't be happening. Xiao Nuo grew even more puzzled. Could he be training incorrectly? He carefully double-checked the content of the basic cultivation method. There was no mistake. After a brief hesitation, Xiao Nuo attempted it again. A moment later, without any surprise, Xiao Nuo directly dropped to the 1st layer of the body tempering realm. His training was regressing further like this. If this continued, he would turn back into an ordinary person. Xiao Nuo's expression turned serious. This Hongmeng Overlord body art was hailed as the #1 divine body tempering technique among the 4 great techniques of the universe. So why was his cultivation diminishing instead of increasing? Feeling the thin spiritual energy in his dantian, Xiao Nuo couldn't help but shake his head and finally couldn't resist asking, "Tower Spirit, what is going on?" Buzz. As soon as the words fell, a wisp of dreamlike white light emerged from within Xiao Nuo's body. In that white light, the faint outline of an ancient tower could be seen. It was the Golden Tower of Hongmeng. "My spiritual energy is about to disappear," Xiao Nuo said. The tower spirit replied, "Not all. The spiritual energy in your dantian has dispersed to every part of your body." Oh, this is the most profound aspect of the Hongmeng Overlord body technique, tempering the entire body so that any part becomes the strongest point of explosive force. The tower spirit explained. Xiao Nuo's heart stirred, and he subconsciously grabbed a nearby kettle. His 5 fingers exerted a slight force. Bang! With a sound, water splashed everywhere. and the kettle directly burst apart. I see. Xiao Nuo showed a delighted expression. Just now, he hadn't used the spiritual energy from his dantian, he directly used the brute force of his arm. The result surprised him pleasantly. The spiritual energy in his dantian hadn't disappeared, but had perfectly integrated into every part of his body. The total amount of spiritual power within his cultivation base remained unchanged, but was dispersed throughout every part of his physical body. In terms of realm, Xiao Nuo was at the first level of the body-tempering realm, but his physical strength was definitely stronger than before. While thrilled, Xiao Nuo faced a new situation. Tempering his entire cultivation base required enormous spiritual energy to sustain. At the first level of the body-tempering realm, he could no longer disperse his power to every part of his body. Slightly hesitating, Xiao Nuo immediately took out 6 spiritual energy pills. These were taken from Xiao Yi and the other 2. Without hesitation, Xiao Nuo swallowed one. The quality of these spiritual energy pills was excellent, clearly pills refined by the Heavenly Star Sword sect. As the pill entered his stomach, a thick surge of spiritual power spread throughout his body. Xiao Nuo steadied his mind and began to channel the spiritual energy to flow through his entire body. Soon, numerous meridians within Xiao Nuo's body were unblocked, and the spiritual power in his dantian became full and vigorous once again. Body Tempering Realm, 2nd level. Body Tempering Realm, 3rd level. Body Tempering Realm, 4th level. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Nuo had broken through 3 minor realms and returned to the 4th level of the Body Tempering Realm. While absorbing the medicinal power of the elixir, Xiao Nuo circulated the Hongming Overlord Body Art to distribute the spiritual energy throughout every part of his body. After several cycles of this process, Xiao Nuo finally broke through the critical point of the 4th level of body refinement and stepped into the 5th level. The dense spiritual energy flowed through every inch of his skin and filled every tendon and bone. Seizing the moment, Xiao Nuo immediately consumed 2 more spiritual energy pills. With the Hongming Overlord Body Art in motion, the spiritual energy from the pills circulated continuously throughout his body, strengthening every part of his cultivation base. Thanks to the replenishment from the spiritual energy pills, Xiao Nuo did not fall back to the 4th level this time, but instead continued to strengthen his flesh and solidify his foundation. After several hours, Xiao Nuo opened his eyes and stopped cultivating. At this moment, he felt a clear change in his body. The power within him was immensely abundant. A faint, dark luster flickered on the surface of his arms, and his skin was as hard as metal. Xiao Nuo's cultivation had reached the peak of the 5th level of body refinement. Although it was only the 5th level, the total amount of spiritual energy in his body was astonishingly vast. For ordinary cultivators, cultivation mainly depends on the total amount of spiritual energy stored in the dantian. But Xiao Nuo is different. His spiritual energy is used to strengthen his physical body, filling every part of him. Compared to an ordinary body-tempering realm 5th level cultivator, Xiao Nuo's total spiritual energy is several times greater. Even those at the 6th or 7th level of the body-tempering realm cannot compare to Xiao Nuo at the 5th level. I still have 3 spiritual energy pills, so breaking through to the 6th level of the body-tempering realm should be no problem. This body is starting to grow again. Xiao Nuo let out a gentle sigh of relief. The original abandoned son of the Xiao family, relying on that drop of heavenly phoenix blood, had reached the 7th level of the body-tempering realm at the age of 13, a talent unmatched in Lizard Moon City. Later, when the heavenly phoenix blood was taken away, his cultivation was damaged, dropping him to the 4th level of the body-tempering realm. For the past 3 years, Xiao Nuo had made no further progress. Now this body has come to life again. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. After using the remaining 3 spiritual energy pills, Xiao Nuo successfully broke through to the 6th level of the body-tempering realm. For ordinary people, advancing a minor realm requires only 1 or 2 spiritual energy pills. But for Xiao Nuo, at least 3 pills were needed. At the same time, Xiao Nuo's absorption speed of medicinal pill energy far exceeded that of ordinary people. Ordinary people would need several days to absorb the energy of a single pill, but Xiao Nuo could do it in about half a day. After all, Cultivating the Hongmeng overlord body art required strengthening every inch of the body's meridian system, which meant Xiao Nuan needed more resources and cultivation than ordinary people. Although I'm only at the 6th layer of the body tempering realm, my physical strength is several times stronger than those at the same level. In the room, on the training platform, Xiao Nuan woke up from his cultivation. Beside him lay the wolf form blade technique, a martial art that only high-level disciples of the Xiao family were eligible to practice. In just 3 days, Xiao Nuo had nearly mastered this martial art thoroughly. The Hongmeng Golden Tower not only improved Xiao Nuo's physique, but also enhanced his talent and comprehension. He only needed to read the wolf form blade technique a few times to understand its secrets. Creak. Then Xiao Nuo pushed open the door. He looked up at the clear blue sky, a sharp glint flashing in his eyes. Today is the day when Xiao Yong, the young master of the Xiao family, officially joins the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect. I should also go and offer my congratulations. In CS City, the streets are bustling with excitement today, especially around the Xiao family estate. Lanterns and decorations are hung high, and drums and gongs are sounding in unison. The Xiao family is so lively. Of course, every year on this day, the Xiao family disciples formally join the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect. The family head hosts a banquet and invites guests to witness the ceremony. I'm so envious. The Xiao family has built a bridge with a giant like the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect. At this rate of development, they'll soon become the top family in CS City. Right now, a red carpet stretches all the way from the entrance to the main courtyard of the Xiao family. In the main courtyard, Xiao Xiong, the head of the Xiao family, sits in a high seat. He looks to be about 40, with a smirk on his face, and his sinister gaze is enough to make people fear him. The heads of the other 4 major families are also present, but it's clear they're only offering congratulations on the surface. Deep down, they're rather displeased. In their eyes, without the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect, the Xiao family wouldn't be putting on such airs. The second miss has arrived. Just then, the announcement comes from the entrance. Everyone's gaze swept over. Even the family head, Xiao Xiong, stood up. Yue is back. A young, beautiful, tall, and slender woman walked in with 2 or 3 people. A jade pendant hung from her waist. On the front of a jade pendant was carved a sharp sword character. It was the token of an inner disciple of the Heavenly Gang Sword sect. Wow! Did the second young lady of the Xiao family become an inner disciple just 1 year after entering the Heavenly Gang Sword sect? You may not know this yet, but the second young lady of the Xiao family has exceptional talent and is highly favored by the Sword sect. It is said that she has already reached the 9th level of the body tempering realm and completed the initial tempering of the sword body. Impressive. She's only 17, and she has reached the 9th level of the body tempering realm. Once the sword body is fully mastered and the sword energy emanates from within, her future will be boundless. Moreover, I heard that the young master of the Heavenly Gang Sword sect takes special care of her. The relationship between the two is unusual. It's very likely that the Xiao family will produce a golden phoenix. Hearing the discussions around her, Xiao Yue showed no dissatisfaction on her face, but instead revealed a faint smile. She walked up to Xiao Xiong. Father, I represent the sect to receive the new members of the family. Upon hearing this, Xiao Xiong became even more excited, his eyes gleaming. Representing the sect. His own daughter actually representing the Heaven's Blade Sword sect. What great prestige. Haha, good. Today, you are both the second miss of the Xiao family and a distinguished guest from afar. Please take the seat of honor. As he said this, Xiao Xiong couldn't help but glance at the other 4 clan leaders, his face full of pride. Xiao Yue didn't stand on ceremony. Like a noble canary, she sat beside Xiao Xiong's seat. After all the guests were seated, ceremonial cannons roared above the Xiao family estate, and flower petals rained down. The auspicious time has arrived. The initiation ceremony officially begins. Let us invite the disciples of the Heaven's Blade Sword sect from the Xiao family. Amidst loud cheers and congratulations, several young men and women walked onto the prearranged stage. The Xiao family's young master, Xiao Yong, stood prominently at the main position, full of spirit and pride. At this very moment, Xiao Nuo, the abandoned son of the Xiao family, arrived outside the main gate of the Xiao estate. Halt! At the main entrance of the Xiao family, 2 guards with swords blocked Xiao Nuo's way. Hey, I was wondering who it was. So, it's the genius who was kicked out of the family. What are you doing here? A guard sneered. Xiao Nuo lifted his eyelids slightly and said calmly, I want to go in. Going in? Sure, show me the invitation. That guard, with a haughty air, reached out to Xiao Nuo for the invitation. Except for members of the Xiao family, outsiders need an invitation to enter. Xiao Nuo remained calm. I don't have an invitation. No, invitation? Then get lost. With that, one of them stepped forward to push Xiao Nuo. Another also followed, swinging his palm at Xiao Nuo's head. A dog-like thing like you dares to set foot in the Xiao family escape? Xiao Nuo's voice turned icy. Today I came bearing a blade. Why would I need an invitation? Clang. As his voice fell, a dark, sinister black blade light flashed, accompanied by splattering blood. The two guards were instantly throat slashed by the demon blade. From today onward, you few are formal disciples of the Tian Gang Sword sect. Henceforth, the status of both the family and the sect in your hearts must not be defiled. You must be loyal to the sect and protect it. In the Xiao family compound, Xiao Yue stood at the front of the high platform. Her gaze was solemn and her tone sharp, giving off an unapproachable sense of nobility. Yes, senior sister Yue. The crowd on the platform replied in unison. Normally at the Xiao family, everyone addressed Xiao Yue as the second miss. But now that she had formally joined the Heavenly Pivot Sword sect, the titles had been changed. This was also the Xiao family's way of showing loyalty to the Heavenly Pivot Sword sect. Xiao Xiong, the head of the Xiao family, was smug, unable to hide the smile on his face. Then Xiao Yue raised her hand and waved. Bestow the tokens of our sect's disciples. Yes, and then several servants walked up onto the platform. Each person held a tray, and on each tray were placed 3 items. A neatly folded sword robe, a token for formal disciples, and a golden pill rich in spiritual energy. The audience below the platform once again marveled. That should be a foundation-building pill, right? Tisk, as expected of the Heavenly Pivot Sword sect disciples already having the foundation-building pill prepared right after joining. It's truly enviable. A foundation establishment pill is quite expensive, worth 10 spiritual energy pills. Celestial Firmament Sword sect's treatment of the Xiao family is indeed generous. Hearing the crowd's comments, Xiao Xiong grew even more pleased. In contrast, the faces of the other 4 family heads showed varying degrees of displeasure. On the stage, several people received their tokens one after another, but when it came to Xiao Yong, he got more than 3 items. There were 5 items before Xiao Yong. Besides the sword robe disciple token and the foundation establishment pill, there was also a martial art manual and a bottle of spiritual liquid. The marrow cleansing liquid and the flying shadow sword technique are gifts specially prepared by the young sect leader for this year's top family member. Xiao Yue spoke up. Xiao Yong's face was filled with joy. Everyone else around him was envious. Ha ha ha. Xiao Xiong stood up laughing, his face glowing with pride as he pointed at the items before Xiao Yong and said, The marrow cleansing liquid can transform one's physique, greatly enhancing cultivation speed, turning even mediocrity into genius. And the flying shadow sword technique is a top-grade martial art of the Celestial Firmament Sword sect, hard to come by even for a fortune. Hurry up and thank your second sister. Xiao Yong was also beaming with joy, his arrogant aura overflowing. He clasped his hands in a fist salute toward Xiao Yue. Thank you, second sister. After I enter the sect, I will definitely personally thank the young lord for his great kindness. The value of the marrow cleansing spiritual liquid goes without saying. The superior martial art, flying shadow sword art, is even more priceless after all. The Xiao family's top-tier martial art, wolf form blade technique, is only a middle-grade martial art. Ha ha ha! Xiao Xiong laughed loudly again. The other 4 family heads could no longer sit still. This Xiao family was really going too far, as if afraid others wouldn't know how close they were to the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect. However, just as Xiao Yong was about to receive the token of a disciple of the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect and formally join the sect, a cold figure slowly stepped into the arena. Hold on. Whoosh. A misty, frosty wind swept across the ground. Everyone's minds were startled, and their gazes turned in unison towards the newcomer, Xiao Nuo. The crowd was even more surprised. Huh, it's you. Xiao Yong showed a shocked expression. That person was actually still alive. 3 days ago, I sent Xiao Yi and a few others to end his life. Xiao Yi and his men didn't return, but instead this guy shows up at this moment. What are you doing here? Xiao Yue asked haughtily. Xiao Nuo stepped forward steadily, each step exuding a silent coldness. I came today for the sword sect quota. These words left everyone stunned. The Xiao family members looked at each other in bewilderment. Has this guy lost his mind? How could he possibly have a share in the sword sect disciple quota? Even if he were given it, would he dare to go? But in reality, the sword sect quota was just a pretext. Xiao Nuo had another purpose for coming here. You've already been expelled from the family. What does the sword sect quota have to do with you? Men, beat him out with clubs. Xiao Yue said coldly. Yes, second miss. The Xiao family guards were about to act, but Xiao Nuo laughed a laugh full of contempt and disdain. He lifted his gaze slightly. The reason the Xiao family has come this far is because of the drop of heavenly phoenix blood in me. How is the sword sect quota none of my business? You without my heavenly phoenix blood. How could you possibly climb up the big tree of the heavenly gang sword sect? How could you rise from a sparrow to a phoenix? Xiao Nuo pointed at Xiao Yue and questioned her, especially the latter part. The words "become a phoenix" were filled with sarcasm. You took my Tianwang blood in exchange for the Xiao family's 300 years of prosperity. Now today, are you going to kill the donkey now that it's done with the mill? The icy words cut straight into the conscience of the Xiao family members. In ordinary times, no one would pay Xiao Nuo any mind, and they might even add insult to injury. But today was different. The other 4 major families of CS City were all present. No matter how shameless Xiao Xiong was, he wouldn't fail to show some decency on such an occasion. Every year, those who obtain the spot at Tiangang Sword Sect are the most outstanding disciples of the Xiao family. You have not reached that qualification. Patriarch Xiao Xiong spoke. The other party directly shifted the reason onto Xiao Nuo himself. Oh, Xiao Nuo raised an eyebrow slightly and chuckled. So these are the strongest few of the Xiao family this year? That's right. Xiao Xiong didn't take Xiao Nuo seriously at all. He said with a jeering tone, to enter the Tiangang Sword Sect, at the very least you must first have the qualification to stand up there. Huh. The invisible airflow intensified, and everyone on the platform looked at Xiao Nuo with provocative eyes. This year, 6 members of the Xiao family entered the Sword Sect. The strongest is Xiao Yong, who has reached the 7th level of the body tempering realm, and the weakest is at the 5th level of the body tempering realm. As for Xiao Nuo, 3 years ago, the heavenly phoenix blood was taken. His cultivation base was damaged, barely maintaining the 4th level of the body tempering realm. Over the years, not only has he made no progress, but his cultivation has been deteriorating. Standing up there is completely beyond his ability. Do you have a qualification to come up? Xiao Yong sneered. If not, then get lost as soon as possible. Even though the Xiao family was so ruthless, in the eyes of the 4 great families, Xiao Nuo indeed did not have the qualification to enter the Tiangang Sword Sect. But unexpectedly, Xiao Nuo did not retreat. He walked toward the high platform ahead. Xiao Xiong, Xiao Yue, and others all had somber expressions. Suddenly, a young figure standing beside Xiao Yong rushed out first. Humph, a dog that has been driven out dares to come back and bark. I, Xiao Cheng, won't spoil you. The moment his words fell, Xiao Cheng directly leaped off the high platform and slammed a diving heavy punch toward Xiao Nuo below. If you can withstand this fist, a spot in the sword sect is yours. Raging fist. With a loud shout, Xiao Cheng gathered his fist strength, channeling a thread of spiritual energy into his arm. As veins and blood vessels bulged, his entire arm turned a faint dark red. Though Raging Fist was a lower-grade martial art of the Xiao family, it was extremely explosive, focusing all of one's strength into a single point to unleash 1,000 gene of force in an instant. Xiao Cheng was at the 6th level of the body tempering stage. With the added power of Raging Fist, this blow would not only overwhelm Xiao Nuo. At the 4th level, even a 5th level practitioner would be blasted apart by a single punch. But what he didn't know was that Xiao Nuo had already broken through to the 6th level of body tempering. And it wasn't an ordinary 6th level at that. Under the tempering of the primordial dominant body art, every inch of Xiao Nuo's body had become a point of explosive power. Whoosh! Facing Xiao Cheng's terrifying attack, Xiao Nuo bent his knees and then suddenly exerted force. He also used the Shao family's lower-grade martial art, Raging Fist. Bang! Two fists and arms, one from above and below, one from south and north, collided solidly. Accompanied by a heavy explosive sound, a cloud of blood mist suddenly burst open. The forceful impact burst out. Under pairs of incredulous eyes, Xiao Cheng's sturdy arm was instantly blasted apart. Amidst the agonizing scream, Xiao Cheng flew out, every streak of blood exceptionally dazzling. Xiao Nuo, on the other hand, stood steadily on the spot, unharmed. This scene shocked the entire audience. Even Xiao Xiong couldn't help but stand up from his seat. How is this possible? How could it be? Xiao Yue also couldn't believe it. How could Xiao Nuo, having lost the heavenly phoenix blood, still possess such strength? Could it be that the drop of heavenly phoenix blood has returned? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Everyone's faces were full of shock. Xiao Cheng lay under the stage. Blood gushing his right arm was completely shattered, looking extremely miserable. Xiao Cheng's defeat meant that his spot would be replaced by Xiao Nuo. Just as the Xiao family members were feeling deeply humiliated, Xiao Nuo did not even spare a glance at Xiao Cheng. He made an even more shocking choice. Since I am joining the sword sect, I will naturally enter with the top score. Pausing for a moment, Xiao Nuo raised his hand and pointed at Xiao Yong on the field. Get down here. At this moment, Xiao Nuo's true intention was revealed. Get down here. Those icy words struck the ears, and the atmosphere on the field intensified once more. Xiao Nuo was not satisfied with merely defeating Xiao Cheng. He had now set his sights on Xiao Yong, the young master of the Xiao family. Xiao Yong's gaze turned icy cold. He clenched his fists, his murderous intent blazing. You despicable wretch. Do you even deserve to challenge me? Is it that I don't deserve it? Or are you afraid? Xiao Nuo's words were laced with sarcasm, arrogant and domineering. Watching his arrogance at this moment, many in the audience showed hints of shock and doubt. Is this the former #1 genius of CS City? Although he lost the Heavenly Phoenix blood 3 years ago, his brilliance has reappeared today. Xiao Yong was completely enraged. What nonsense are you talking? Step onto the stage and fight. But let me be clear. In this battle, we each answer for our own life and death. Today was Xiao Yong's moment of glory. How could he let Xiao Nuo trample his dignity? Seeing this, the others on the stage quickly stepped down. Xiao Yue looked at the scene before her and knew that today would not end peacefully. A glint of slyness flashed in her eyes. Taking advantage of the moment when the people on stage were coming down, she walked to the edge of the stage. Take this. Xiao Yue turned sideways and quietly slipped a pill into Xiao Yong's hand. Xiao Yong was puzzled. What is this? It's a B-strength pill. After taking it, you can unleash double your power. Keep it for emergencies. After saying that, Xiao Yue walked away. Xiao Yong sneered inwardly. With his strength at the 7th level of body tempering realm, dealing with Xiao Nuo would be a piece of cake. Although the opponent had defeated Xiao Cheng, he was definitely no match for him. But with this B-strength pill, Xiao Yong's confidence surged even more. Watching Xiao Nuo step onto the stage, Xiao Yong's killing intent arose. I guarantee that today you will not leave the Xiao family gate. With red eyes, Xiao Yong immediately drew a gleaming curved blade. Clang! Curved blade in hand, Xiao Yong charged like a wolf, executing the Xiao family's advanced martial art wolf blade technique. Wolf runs 1,000 miles. Swish! Xiao Yong moved with lightning speed, instantly closing in on Xiao Nuo. Little did he know, Xiao Nuo was already thoroughly familiar with the wolf blade technique. Facing Xiao Yong's slashing curved blade, Xiao Nuo sidestepped, effortlessly evading the fierce attack. Then Xiao Nuo flicked his left hand upward, accurately striking Xiao Yong's wrist. Top! Xiao Yong felt his arm go numb, and the curved blade flew out of his hand. What? The surrounding crowd was stunned once again. In a single exchange, Xiao Nuo had actually disarmed Xiao Yong of his weapon. And that was the strength of a 7th level body tempering realm. What the crowd didn't know was that although Xiao Nuo's realm was lower than Xiao Yong's, his physical strength and total spiritual energy far exceeded that of a 6th level body tempering realm. The curved blade flew into the air. Xiao Nuo pivoted on his foot and snatched the opponent's weapon into his hand. Fierce wolf returns to its lair. With a twist of his body, Xiao Nuo slashed the curved blade across Xiao Yong. SSS. A spray of crimson blood spattered onto the blade's edge, leaving a bloody gash across Xiao Yong's chest. The crowd below was greatly shocked. Xiao Xiong's eyes blazed with fury. How could he know the wolf-style blade technique? The wolf-style blade technique was only taught to the high-ranking descendants of the Xiao family. Xiao Nuo could never have accessed it. On the stage, Xiao Yong flew into a rage. "You mongrel! How dare you injure me?" Impotent rage. Xiao Nuo taunted as he closed in, his curved blade striking like a swift and ferocious wolf. Below the stage, Xiao Yue, without a word, immediately took out her personal sword and tossed it onto the battle platform. "Catch the Qingyu sword." Clatter. Xiao Yong caught the sword in panic. As the blade left its sheath, its edge shimmered dazzlingly. Xiao Yue's weapon turned out to be a lower-grade spiritual artifact. Xiao Yong used his sword as a blade and executed the wolf-shaped blade technique. The two figures clashed, their swords and blades colliding in a flurry of sparks and fiery rain. The crowd below grew more and more shocked and astonished with each passing moment. Xiao Yong was at the 7th level of the body tempering realm, and with the enhancement of the spiritual tool Green Rain Sword, his combat power had at least doubled or tripled, yet consecutive attacks failed to subdue Xiao Nuo. The main point was that Xiao Nuo's wolf-shaped blade technique was even more adept and ingenious than his opponent's. Didn't he expect this dead dog of yours could still jump around? Xiao Yong taunted as he attacked. Xiao Nuo's gaze was cold and undisturbed. "Next time you want to kill me, remember to bring some decent men." Xiao Yong's pupils constricted. He immediately understood that the other was referring to Xiao Yi. "What did you do to Xiao Yi and the others? What do you think, young master?" Xiao Nuo twisted the blade, spinning it under his palm and circling it around to the opponent's abdomen. "Wolf Fong Tier." Rip. The sharp blade tip slashed across Xiao Yong's abdomen, another trail of blood oozing out. Although Xiao Yong wielded a spirit tool, he was always one step behind and couldn't withstand Xiao Nuo's attacks. "Damn it!" Xiao Yong's eyes were blazing with fury. "I will kill you. I will kill you. You, this dog expelled from the family, can never stir up big waves." Saying that, Xiao Yong flipped his hand and took out the beast power pill that Xiao Yue had just given him. He swallowed the pill in one gulp, and instantly, an extremely powerful beast aura surged from Xiao Yong's body. His pupils contracted, bloodshot eyes looking as fierce as a beast's. At that moment, his strength had directly increased by 2 or 3 times. The crowd below was stirred. Xiao Yong was clearly pushed to the edge. Wolf Rage Blood Knight slash. Xiao Yong's aura erupted. He leaped into the air, gripping his sword with both hands, and slashed at Xiao Nuo. Xiao Nuo's eyes turned cold. At this moment, Xiao Yong's combat power had almost reached the 8th level of body refining, while he himself had only just stepped into the 6th level a few days ago. There was still some gap. But just then, Xiao Nuo's mind stirred, and the bloodburst spirit pearl on his body was activated. In an instant, Xiao Nuo also erupted with a surge of powerful blood energy. His robes fluttered, black hair danced, and like a demon god, his blood energy surged wildly. The bloodburst spirit pearl was sealed on the 3rd floor of the Hongmeng Golden Tower. It was transformed from the rage of the war-slaughtering empress, capable of multiplying combat power by several times or even dozens of times. Similarly berserk, Xiao Nuo gripped his blade with both hands and leaped forward to meet Xiao Yong. Wolf's Rage Blood Knight slash Howl. The same move, surging with blood energy, unleashed a mysterious wolf howl across the battle stage. Xiao Nuo and Xiao Yong clashed like 2 wolf kings vying for dominance. Blade and sword collided once more. Bang! A heavy explosion spread, sending out a violent air blast. Xiao Yong's arm trembled, and the Qingyu sword in his hand flew away again. Boom! This scene shocked everyone. How is this possible? Xiao Yue was stunned too. Even Xiao Yong, who had taken the beast strength pill, couldn't defeat Xiao Nuo. Just how far beyond the limit was his strength? Ding! The Qingyu sword spun and landed on the stage, forcing Xiao Yong to stagger back as blood surged within him. At that moment, Xiao Nuo, who had just landed, sprang forward again. Is this all you've got, young master of the Xiao clan? Everyone's hearts tightened. Before Xiao Yong could react, A dark shadow appeared before him. Xiao Xiong roared angrily. Stop! Xiao Yue also shouted coldly. How dare you? Xiao Nuo did not pause. He raised his blade high and slashed down at Xiao Yong. Xiao Yong quickly retreated, but was ultimately too slow. The icy blade slanted across his right shoulder. A crisp howl of the blade pierced the eardrums as crimson blood splattered. Xiao Yong's right shoulder was sliced off diagonally. Clang! The blade was merciless and cold as frost. In the Xiao clan's courtyard, the curved blade in Xiao Nuo's hand sent up a rain of red. Xiao Yong, the young master of the Xiao clan, stared wide-eyed. After a momentary numbness, excruciating pain spread through his body as he watched half of his shoulder fly away. On my hand! Xiao Yong's features twisted, his face covered in terror. Everyone was stunned by the scene before them. Xiao Xiong, Xiao Yue, and the others were all shocked and furious. The heads of the other four families also couldn't help but stand up. The severed arm lay on the battle stage floor, a sharp knife scar carved into the ground. Xiao Yong retreated like a crippled dog, while Xiao Nuo before him stood fierce and cold, resolute and unyielding. The Xiao family members were terrified. Xiao Xiong, the head of the Xiao family, was enraged. Villain, I want your life. Bang! Xiao Xiong waved a sleeve, and a tea table beside him shattered on the spot. Then, with a furious palm strike, a majestic aura surged like a wave toward the stage, and a golden palm imprint flew straight to Xiao Nuo's face. Xiao Nuo's eyes narrowed, and he instinctively raised the curved blade to block in front of him. Boom! The golden palm imprint, like an illusory giant hand, struck the blade's surface. The curved blade he had taken from Xiao Yong was directly shattered into several pieces. Xiao Xiong, as the head of the family, had reached a level of cultivation, spiritual manifestation realm, palm force released through the air, fierce and domineering. Xiao Nuo is in the body tempering realm, and between him and Xiao Xiong there are two major levels, the foundation establishment realm and the qi control realm. In an instant, the palm force seeped into his body. Xiao Nuo's broken knife fell, and a trickle of blood seeped from the corner of his mouth. At the same time, Xiao Yue flew onto the battle platform. Her slender, fair fingers made a grasping motion through the air. Clang! The spirit artifact Qingyu's sword, which had fallen on the other side of the platform, immediately returned to Xiao Yue's hand. The Qingyu sword in her hand was vastly different from when it was in Xiao Yong's grasp. A cold light covered the blade, and its sharp brilliance illuminated the faces of the surrounding crowd. How dare you hurt my brother Xiao Nuo? You have committed a capital offense. Xiao Yue said coldly. Like a shooting star, she traced a dazzling sword mark through the air, and in an instant, she closed in on Xiao Nuo. The hearts of the crowd below tightened. It's the Cold Star Sword Body. This is the unique sharp aura of the Cold Star Sword Body. This Xiao Yue is truly remarkable. Almost everyone's eyes were filled with amazement that Xiao Yue, after only a short year in the Heavenly Bladesword sect, had refined the Cold Star Sword Body. They marveled at her exceptional talent, and even more at the sect's power. After all, it was under the resources of the Heavenly Bladesword sect that Xiao Yue was able to condense such a powerful sword body. Without allowing further comment, Xiao Yue stepped onto the stage and swung her sword, leaving a cyan arc of light. The sharp blade aimed straight for Xiao Nuo's head. Xiao Yue's eyes were icy cold, her strike merciless. Just as everyone thought Xiao Nuo would be slain on the spot, the robes on Xiao Nuo's body were once again burst open by powerful blood energy. Clang! Suddenly, Xiao Nuo reached behind him and pulled out a dark, cold black demon blade. Xiao Nuo gripped the blade in a backhand grip and launched a counterattack. Bang! The sword and blade clashed, exploding with force. Brilliant sword aura and dark blade light burst between them, and the two figures suddenly distanced themselves. Swish! Whoosh! Both retreated. A look of surprise appeared on Xiao Yue's face. All the members of the Xiao family and the other four great families were also stunned. He caught it. Xiao Nuo actually caught Xiao Yue's frontal assault. How is that possible? Xiao Yue is at the 9th level of body tempering, and with the power of the Cold Star Sword Body and the Green Rain Sword, she could even contend with someone at the 1st level of foundation building. Someone said in a deep voice, "There's a problem." that Xiao Nua's cultivation might have recovered. But 3 years ago, he was only at the 7th level of body tempering. That's right. Even 3 years ago, he shouldn't have been able to block Xiao Yue's attack. The atmosphere grew tense, and the air current intensified. Everyone's gaze was fixed firmly on Xiao Nua. Xiao Yue, on the other hand, was staring at the black demon blade in his hand. Just now, when the green rain sword clashed with it, she felt a fierce, cold aura. It seems you've had a bit of a lucky encounter these past few days. Xiao Yue raised her slender eyebrows slightly and then added, "But it's useless. You still won't step out of the Xiao family's gates today." Saying this, Xiao Yue once again channeled her spiritual energy. Several streaks of sword aura surrounded the Qingyu sword, and a wave of pressure spread out. "Kill him, second sister. Kill him quickly. I want him to die a miserable death." Xiao Yong shouted hatefully from the sidelines. His eyes were bloodshot, wishing he could grind Xiao Nua's bones to dust. "Do you want to kill me that badly?" Xiao Nua coldly looked at the woman before him. 3 years ago, she wasn't this cold and heartless. Back then, Xiao Yue actually had a decent relationship with Xiao Nua, until the Tiangang sword sect and the Xiao family completed that transaction. Xiao Yue said coldly, "You brought this upon yourself." Xiao Nua said, "Isn't it because the young master of the Tiangang sword sect couldn't tolerate me?" "Huh." Xiao Yue sneered relentlessly. With a hint of pity, she said, 3 years ago, you possessed the Heaven Phoenix blood talent, which wasn't bad at all. But compared to the young master, it's like the difference between clouds and mud. I don't want to discourage you, but before the Tiangang sword sect, you are nothing but an ant." "An ant," Xiao Yue said, each word dripping with mockery. Xiao Nua's eyes turned frosty as he gripped the demon blade Dark Star Soul, a bone-chilling cold seeping into his palm. "Remember the words you spoke today," Xiao Nua said in a low voice. Xiao Yue's gaze narrowed slightly. Below the stage, Xiao Xiong waved his hand and shouted angrily, "Yue, don't waste words with him, just kill him." Swish! Killing intent surged, and the whole audience tensed up. Xiao Yue stepped forward, darted out, raised her sword, and attacked. But at that moment, Xiao Nua spoke up. "Does your Xiao family intend to publicly kill a disciple of the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect?" Xiao Yue halted her movement. The Xiao family members were also startled. Xiao Nua held the knife in one hand and placed the other behind his back, saying calmly, "I've already obtained the sword sect slot, so I am naturally an official disciple of the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect. Senior Sister Yue, killing a fellow disciple is a serious crime." Swish! The surrounding air trembled slightly, and Xiao Yue's mind shook. She naturally knew the rules of the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect. Fellow disciples are not allowed to kill each other. If Xiao Nua claimed to be a disciple of the Heavenly Gang Sword sect, she really couldn't make a move against him. But Xiao Nua had already sliced off half of Xiao Yong's shoulder and slapped the Xiao family in the face in public. How could they just let it go? Seeing Xiao Yue's hesitation, Xiao Nua knew she had her concerns. Then Xiao Nua turned his gaze to Xiao Xiong, the family head of the Xiao clan. "Patriarch Xiao Xiong, I am now a formal disciple of the Heavenly Gang Sword sect. If you kill me, wouldn't you be damaging the sect's prestige? Today, the 5 great families of CS City are all here. In just a few days, word will spread that the Xiao family has harmed an official disciple of the Heavenly Gang Sword sect. Isn't that trampling on the sect's dignity?" Xiao Nua's voice was cold and fierce, his words sharp. He continued, his words ringing with authority. "If you dare kill a formal disciple of the Heavenly Gang Sword sect today, then tomorrow you dare kill an inner disciple. The day after that you defy the sect's young master, and the day after that, you wouldn't even put the sect leader in your eyes." At these words, Xiao Xiong's face darkened like iron. He realized at once that he had fallen into Xiao Nua's trap. He could kill Xiao Nua, but he could not kill a disciple of the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect. He could lose face, but he could not let the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect lose face. The relationship the Xiao family had built with the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect over the past 3 years must not be affected by outside gossip. Moreover, the members of the other 4 families were watching this scene as if it were a play. It had to be said that Xiao Xiong was truly loyal, simply because Xiao Nua held the identity of a sword sect disciple. He was full of scruples. Today, Faced with the humiliation of his family and the dignity of the sword sect, what choice would he make? After a moment of silence, Xiao Xiong clenched his fists, forcefully suppressing the anger in his heart. Let him go. The Xiao family members were shocked. Xiao Yue immediately shouted, Father! Xiao Yong grew even more anxious. Father, you can't let him go. He has harmed me like this. Kill him. You must kill him. Xiao Xiong's gaze was as vicious as a beast's, fixed firmly on Xiao Nuo. Humph. The Xiao family accepts defeat and honors the wager. You may go. Hearing this, Xiao Nuo almost laughed out loud, willing to accept the bet and admit defeat. If it weren't for the presence of the other four great families, and if the other party weren't worried about damaging relations with the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect, the entire family would have rushed up and devoured him, leaving not even a bone. Xiao Nuo was precisely counting on Xiao Xiong's loyalty to the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect. Xiao Nuo was well aware that even if there was the slightest possibility of affecting the relationship between Xiao family and the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect, Xiao Xiong would never let it happen. Over the years, the Xiao family had reached a state of absolute loyalty to the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect. They would not do anything that even slightly damaged the sect's dignity. Therefore, Xiao Xiong would absolutely not make a move against Xiao Nuo under these circumstances. Then, Xiao Nuo walked off the stage and looked at the tray in his servant's hand. These items are mine now. Xiao Yue's eyes were cold as swords. She immediately barked. Xiao Nuo, don't push your luck too far. Those items were exactly the ones bestowed upon Xiao Yong by the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect. They are respectively a sword robe, a sect token, a foundation establishment pill, a bottle of marrow cleansing liquid, and a high-grade martial art, the Flying Shadow Sword art. You just said these items are for this year's top ranked formal disciple of the Xiao family. Since I took first place, what's the problem? After saying that, without waiting for Xiao Yue to say more, Xiao Nuo directly grabbed the 5 items from above. Xiao Yue was so angry that she ground her teeth and cursed. Don't forget, you're no longer a member of the Xiao family. You have long been expelled from the clan. But I am now a member of the sword sect. Xiao Nuo responded, Humph, do you have the guts to set foot on the Tian Gang sword sect? Xiao Yue sneered. If Xiao Nuo dares to go to the Tian Gang sword sect, he will surely die. Xiao Nuo ignored her and walked toward the door on his own. When he reached the doorway, he slightly turned his body and cast a cold glance behind him. Thank you for today's gift. Furthermore, Xiao Nuo paused, then said with utmost determination, I will definitely go to the Tian Gang sword sect. I will definitely go. Every word was as cold as a knife. Xiao Nuo, would definitely go, but not now. One day, I will set foot on the Heavenly Star Sword sect and repay all the humiliation of these 3 years. Everyone's heartstrings tightened, especially the moment they met the other's gaze. They all felt the most direct provocation. You. Xiao Xiong's eyes were almost spitting fire. Xiao Yong, who had been stripped of everything, even spat out a mouthful of blood and fell backward, unconscious. Having left the Xiao family, Xiao Nuo walked alone on the streets of CS City. Gazing at the bustling road, he felt an indescribable complexity in his heart. What he had done today brought both the pleasure of revenge and the accumulation of future troubles. Xiao Nuo was well aware that Xiao Xiong would not let him go. But it didn't matter anymore. After all, a few days ago Xiao Yong had already wanted his life. Even if he hadn't come today, he had already completely fallen out with the Xiao family. As evening approached, Xiao Nuo arrived at the entrance of a magnificent tall building. This building was decorated extremely luxuriously. Vermilion stone pillars and celadone color tiles gave an immediate impression of grandeur. The 3 glittering golden characters on the plaque above the 10,000 Feathers Pavilion were quite dazzling. Behind the 10,000 Feathers Pavilion stood the Wanjin Merchant Guild, and behind that guild was the Gongsun clan, one of the 5 great families of CS City. The Gongsun clan's business was vast, and the 10,000 Feathers Pavilion served as a major trading center for the guild. From gold, silver, and jewels to weapons and elixirs, anything of value could be exchanged within its walls. Xiao Nuo stepped through the entrance of the 10,000 Feathers Pavilion. A middle-aged man in his 30s received him, his narrow eyes giving off a sly, fox-like impression. Are you here to buy something, guest? He asked with a friendly smile. Xiao Nua looked at the man. I'm here to sell something. Oh, the middle-aged man was slightly taken aback. Going by Xiao Nua's attire, he doubted the young man could produce anything valuable. What do you wish to sell? This. Xiao Nua casually took out a scroll and handed it to the middle-aged man. The latter also took it casually, but the moment he flipped open the first page, his expression changed drastically, and he immediately rolled the scroll shut. Why you want to sell this? Xiao Nua calmly met the other's gaze. Are you buying? The middle-aged man glanced around warily and said in a low voice, Let's talk somewhere private. Jiao Nuo nodded. Soon, the two arrived at an empty private room. The middle-aged man stared at Xiao Nua. This flying shadow sword art is a top-tier martial skill from the Heavenly Firm Sword sect. How dare you trade it? Do you have a death wish? What Xiao Nua intended to sell was precisely the flying shadow sword art he obtained at the Xiao residence during the day. Of course, he had already made a copy before coming. Martial arts techniques are sect secrets. This flying shadow sword art is of superior grade, and even within the Heavenly Firm Sword sect, only inner disciples are qualified to practice it. This time, the Heavenly Firm Sword sect made a rare exception by passing it on to Xiao Yong. But if anyone dares to pass on the martial art without the sect's permission, it's a serious crime. Xiao Nuo remained calm and glanced at the man sideways. Just name your price. You. The middle-aged man was taken aback. I haven't said I want it yet. Xiao Nuo replied. If you had no intention of buying, you would have turned me down outright outside. Why bring me here? The middle-aged man laughed awkwardly twice, but then became serious. This flying shadow sword art is in your hands. I suppose you are Xiao Nuo, who caused the scene at the Xiao family today. What price are you offering? Xiao Nuo countered. The middle-aged man touched his nose. It was clear the other party didn't want to say more. He hesitated for a moment and then said, Our Wanjin Chamber of Commerce cannot afford to offend the Tiangang sword sect. Our chamber dare not take this sword art, so it can only be traded on the black market. Xiao Nuo had heard of the black market. Things on the black market are traded directly without any transaction records or traceable sources. During the transaction, everyone conceals their identity, and the items may even change hands multiple times, but the commission charged is relatively high. The Wanjin Chamber of Commerce has been around for so many years naturally. It has experience and channels in this area. The middle-aged man stared cautiously at Xiao Nuo's handsome face, and then lowered his voice and said, If you want to trade this item, no records will be left. I don't like beating around the bush. If you keep delaying and not quoting a price, I'll go elsewhere. Xiao Nuo's patience was wearing thin. The other party was unwilling to give up the item, but also worried about the risk. Hesitating like this was just wasting Xiao Nuo's time. The middle-aged man immediately said, 10 spirit chi pills and 1 foundation establishment pill. Deal, Xiao Nuo said. The middle-aged man nodded. Under normal circumstances, a top-grade martial art would be worth far more than this, but the Wanjin Merchant Guild had to bear a great risk. After all, offending the Tiangang sword sect was no joke, so this price was barely reasonable. Xiao Nuo didn't mind, since he had copied the technique in a way. He had gotten these 10 spirit chi pills and 1 foundation establishment pill for free. Moreover, Xiao Nuo could continue to copy and sell the technique to other merchant guilds. And also, the feeling of getting something for free was indeed nice. Soon, the middle-aged man handed over the 10 spirit chi pills and 1 foundation establishment pill, and Xiao Nuo accepted them without hesitation. Neither side left any written agreement or record. It was almost a traceless transaction. Can you arrange a room for me? I want to rest for a while. Back in the hall, Xiao Nuo asked. The middle-aged man was very straightforward. Of course. With that, he ordered a young maid to arrange a resting room for Xiao Nuo. Outside the room, Young master, is there anything else you need? The maid, with a smile in her eyes, was polite in manner. Xiao Nuo said, Find me a bathtub and fill it with hot water. Young master, are you planning to take a bath? I'll see to it right away. Thank you. You're too polite, young master. Manager, Yin said to treat you well. Such a small matter is not worth mentioning. With that, the maid went to prepare everything. A short while later, a large round wooden tub was set up in the spacious room, filled with hot water up to about 2/3. The maid had also prepared a set of fresh clothes for Xiao Nuo to change into. Her service was impeccable. After she left, Xiao Nuo closed the door. He walked over to the round wooden tub and took out a small bottle. The bottle contained the marrow cleansing liquid, one of the 5 items he had obtained today. This marrow cleansing liquid, along with the shadow flight sword technique, was specially bestowed by the sword sect's young master to Xiao Yong, so their quality was definitely not low. Then, Xiao Nuo removed the bottle stopper and poured the liquid into the tub. Drip drop. About 3 drops of spiritual liquid fell into the water. In less than 5 counts, a bucket of clear hot water had turned to faint gold. Even the mist dancing on the water's surface exuded a mystical golden aura. Without any hesitation, Xiao Nuo took off his shirt and immediately jumped into the bucket. Although the water was hot, a cooling force was mixed within it. Xiao Nuo closed his eyes as waves of mysterious spiritual energy drilled into the pores of his skin. The marrow, cleansing spiritual liquid could change one's physique and improve cultivation, speed a miraculous effect that turned an ordinary person into a genius. The impurities in Xiao Nuo's body were being cleansed. The spiritual energy flowing through his meridians became cheerful and smooth, and all his fatigue seemed to be swept away in an instant. Comfortable, Xiao Nuo murmured to himself. Then, Xiao Nuo picked up a spiritual qi pill from the nearby table and swallowed it. Shortly after, a rich surge of spiritual energy dissolved within him. As Xiao Nuo absorbed the pill's spiritual energy, he circulated the primordial overlord body art. Instantly, the spiritual energy spread throughout his body, starting to strengthen every inch of his flesh, blood, and bones. Xiao Nuo had always been fast at absorbing pills, and now, soaking in the marrow, cleansing spiritual liquid, his cultivation speed increased further. In less than an hour, the spiritual energy contained in 1 spirit qi pill was completely absorbed by Xiao Nuo. Yet Xiao Nuo's cultivation level showed no change, still remaining at the 6th level of body refinement. But this was only an appearance. The power of the pill had merged into his limbs and bones, dispersing throughout his body. Though his realm hadn't changed, his physical body had grown stronger again. The primordial chaos-dominating body art was truly miraculous. Xiao Nuo sighed inwardly as he could feel his own strength increasing. He then picked up another spirit qi pill and swallowed it. The marrow, cleansing spiritual liquid, and the pill's spiritual energy nourished Xiao Nuo's body and cultivation simultaneously. Soon, the 2nd spirit qi pill was absorbed. Without any hesitation, Xiao Nuo picked up the 3rd. Time passed minute by minute. A faint golden mist swirled around Xiao Nuo's body. The spiritual energy contained in the marrow, cleansing spiritual liquid flowed like a coiling dragon over his physique. Under the boost of dual spiritual energies, Xiao Nuo's power steadily increased. In a guest room in the west courtyard of 10,000 Feathers Pavilion, Xiao Nuo, immersed in cultivation, had long lost track of time. 2 days. For 2 whole days, Xiao Nuo hadn't left the room, hadn't even stepped away from the wooden tub. For an ordinary person, this would cause swelling, but for Xiao Nuo's physical strength, it had no effect at all. The power of the marrow cleansing liquid had been fully absorbed, and the clear water in the wooden tub had become noticeably murky. The liquid not only strengthened Xiao Nuo's constitution and accelerated his cultivation speed, but also purged the impurities from his body. Now, Xiao Nuo felt all his major meridians incredibly smooth, his hearing acute, his vision sharp, and his mind refreshed. All 10 spirit qi pills had been consumed completely. In the wooden tub, Xiao Nuo's pitch-black eyes glimmered with a resolute light. The 8th level of body tempering realm. Having consumed a full 10 spirit qi pills and a bottle of marrow cleansing liquid, Xiao Nuo had leaped 2 realms in just 2 days, crossing directly from the 6th level to the 8th level of the body tempering realm. Although I've reached the 8th level of body tempering realm, the resources consumed are truly too many. Xiao Nuo shook his head inwardly. Under normal circumstances, the marrow cleansing liquid and 10 spirit qi pills would be enough for Xiao Nuo to break through to the 9th level of the body tempering realm. However, cultivating the Hongmeng overlord body art requires a large amount of spiritual energy to temper the body, so Xiao Nuo needs more resources to advance a single level. For Xiao Nuo, realm is one thing, but power is another. His current physical strength is definitely far more formidable than that of the ninth level of the body tempering realm. Even when facing a cultivator at the Foundation Establishment realm, he could go head to head with them. Xiao Nuo clenched his fist, and his knuckles let out a clear crack. Only one's own strength is true strength. Xiao Nuo spoke with a hint of emotion as he climbed out of the wooden barrel. Although his figure was still relatively thin, his entire spirit and energy were completely different from a few days ago. The spirit chi pills are all gone. I still have 2 Foundation Establishment pills available. I need to obtain other resources. Of the 2 Foundation Establishment pills, one was obtained from the Xiao family, and the other came from trading the Flying Shadow Sword Art Manual. For Xiao Nuo, at his current stage, it is still too early to take the Foundation Establishment pills. The Foundation Establishment pill is the top tier among low-grade pills, as its name suggests. It is used for breaking through to the Foundation Establishment realm. The best time to take the Foundation Establishment pill is when one is at the peak of the 9th level of body tempering. Then, with a thought, Xiao Nuo summoned a black demon blade into his hand. I've already reached the 8th level of body tempering, yet the coldness of Dark Star's soul still pierces to the bone. It seems it is too early to fully master its power. Xiao Nuo gently swung the black demon blade. The Dark Star soul was forged from a dragon scale shed from the Night Demon Queen, but its shape is more like a dragon's fang, especially the sharp and splendid crease at the front of the blade. Roar! Suddenly, a low, angry dragon's roar emitted from within the black demon blade. Hearing the dragon's roar, Xiao Nuo felt a slight dizziness and a tremor in his heart, nearly losing his balance. What's going on? Xiao Nuo quickly steadied himself by the table, looking at the demon blade in his hand with confusion. He saw faint, illusory shadows flickering on the blade, and the malevolent aura became even more distinct. Master, don't panic. At that moment, the spirit of the Hongmeng Golden Tower spoke, its voice reaching Xiao Nuo's ears. This demonic blade, being formed from the scales of the Dark Star's 6-winged demon dragon, naturally carries a portion of the Nightmare Empress's spiritual energy. The dragon's roar just now is an inherent power of the demonic blade, possessing a certain spiritual attack capability. The tower spirit explained, and Xiao Nuo's eyes lit up slightly. Mental attack. Indeed, this mental attack mainly comes from the powerful demonic might of the Night Demon Queen, which can induce dizziness and fear. Once your cultivation level increases, you can unleash more power from the demon blade. I see, Xiao Nuo nodded gently. Just one demon blade possesses such abundant power, it's hard to imagine how strong that Night Demon Queen really is. Then Xiao Nuo added, the higher my cultivation, the stronger the power the demon blade can exert. I suppose the Bloodburst Spirit Pearl works the same way, right? That's right, the Tower Spirit affirmed. Previously, when Master used the Bloodburst Spirit Pearl, you could burst with 3 times your battle power. Now that you've reached the 8th level of the body tempering realm, you can at most burst with 5 times your battle power for a limited time. 5 times! A flash of light flickered in the corner of Xiao Nuo's eye. However, I suggest that Master minimizes the use of the Bloodburst Spirit Pearl. Why? The Bloodburst Spirit Pearl is condensed from the blood essence of the War Butcher Empress. Her nature is violent, irritable, and bloodthirsty. Overuse can lead to side effects, making you prone to rage and fury. Only when your primordial chaotic body art reaches great completion can you discard the influence of external forces. The Tower Spirit explained. Jono nodded. All right, I understand. From now on, unless it's an emergency, I will try not to use the Bloodburst Spirit Pearl. Then Xiao Nuo changed into a new set of clothes and left the room. Soon, Xiao Nuo arrived at the hall of the 10,000 Feathers Pavilion. Young Master, have you rested well? The maid who had received Xiao Nuo 2 days earlier approached him, somewhat surprised to see him looking rejuvenated. He had not stepped out for 2 days, yet his mental state seemed even better. Xiao Nuo nodded. I'm leaving. How much is the room fee? Manager, Yin has instructed that you don't need to pay any other fees. You can leave whenever you like. Then please thank Manager Yin for me. I will. After a brief exchange, Xiao Nuo left the 10,000 Feathers Pavilion. It was already dark. Under the night sky, CS City was brilliantly lit, with wide streets showcasing its prosperity. Xiao Nuo returned alone to his residence. The place he lived in was quite remote, quickly shielding him from the noise and bustle outside. Under the night sky, Xiao Nua's house stood isolated. He stood at the door, his gaze growing somewhat deep. Then he opened the door and walked inside. Xiao Nua lit the candle on the table. The gradually brightening candlelight dispelled the darkness and cold. Xiao Nua sat down and poured a cup of tea. The tea had long gone cold. The candlelight illuminated Xiao Nua's profile, sharp and resolute, cold and stern. Just as Xiao Nua raised the tea to his lips, ready to drink. Clang! The gleaming blade illuminated the room. In the next instant, a sharp sword fell from the rafters, aimed directly at Xiao Nua's vital spot on the top of his head. However, Xiao Nua remained calm-faced. He was not startled by the sudden situation at all. Just as the tip of the blade was about to reach the top of his head, Xiao Nua turned his body. Clang! The sharp longsword narrowly passed by Xiao Nua's side without harm. A black-clad man with a sinister look came into Xiao Nua's view. "You were prepared," the black-clad man said, surprised to see Xiao Nua so calm. Xiao Nua let out a cold laugh. The Xiao family's methods are truly becoming more and more despicable. As he spoke, Xiao Nua flicked his fingers and threw the teacup in his hand. Bang! The teacup hit the black-clad man right in his face. With the cup shattering and water splashing, the man immediately retreated. But before he could stabilize himself, Xiao Nua stepped forward, reached out, and grabbed the arm holding the sword. "You!" The black-clad man was startled. His opponent's speed was truly too fast, and his strength was extremely domineering. Without much time to be shocked, Xiao Nua's 5 fingers suddenly exerted force, and the opponent's arm was directed toward his own neck. Shoo! The black-clad man hadn't even time to react. The sharp blade in his hand had already slit his own throat. Blood splattered, a shocking sight. Just as the black-clad man fell, the doors and windows of the house were broken one after another, and another group of assassins rushed in. "Xiao Nua, you little thief, die! Today, even the heavenly king himself cannot save your worthless life. Kill!" With fierce eyes like bloodthirsty beasts, all the assassins charged together. Xiao Nua remained calm, raising his hand to catch the wrist of a man swinging a blade from the side. Then with a burst of force from his 5 fingers, crack! With a crisp sound, the man's hand bones were crushed. Ah! The man let out a painful scream, unable to hold his weapon steady. Xiao Nua, quick-eyed and swift-handed, caught the falling weapon directly and then swung it in a backhand motion. A bright arc of blade light slashed across the assassin's neck. With a whoosh, blood splattered on the beam, a head flew off, and in an instant, another person was slain. At this moment, outside the house, 2 figures were watching the fierce battle inside. One was Xiao Yue, and the other was Xiao Yong. Xiao Yong's right shoulder was wrapped in thick bandages. Now, missing one arm, he was filled with hatred toward Xiao Nua. "I want him to die a miserable death. I want to cut off all his limbs. Sister, you must avenge me. I want to personally hack off his hands and feet." Xiao Yong's words were venomous, his eyes bloodshot. Beside him, Xiao Yue was as cold as ice. She replied, "Don't worry. He won't escape today. When I return to the Heavenly Firmament Sword sect, I will ask the young sect leader for a method to reattach your severed limb, to see if we can restore you to your former glory." Xiao Yong clenched his fist with one hand, grinding his teeth so hard they clicked. "I want to finish him off. I want to make him end up more miserable than a stray dog."